Outside of finish line is Concrete Cat. There you see Finish Line on the right and Pipeline Express on the inside. And Concrete Cat is on the very far outside. So in your picture, we've got Pipeline, Finish Line, and Concrete Cat. Just listen to the throttle man doing his job right here in Pipeline. Rich Dancision doing a great job on the throttles for Pipeline Express. We've got some good racing, and as you can see, it is very rough, so we expect to see a lot of flying today, and the throttle man will be playing a pivotal role. Here we have C41, the Pipeline Express. This is a 30-foot red and white Shadow Cat powered by twin 500 horsepower Chevy inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned and driven by Bob Shug of Lavallette, New Jersey, and on throttles, as we indicated, Rich Dancision from Palm Rivers, New Jersey, and David Koch from Bricktown, New Jersey is your navigator. Antonio Mendez from Seaside Heights, New Jersey is a chief crew member for Pipeline Express. C41, the Pipeline Express race team from Newburyport, Massachusetts. Pipeline Express enjoying a good run here at this point in the race. And now we're coming up on C5, the boat known as Finish Line. This 30-foot Chris Craft is powered by twin Bandit racing engines with 500 horsepower apiece. This boat is collectively owned by Jimmy Della Terza and Joe Calabro. This boat is driven by Sam Cesario, throttled by Joe Calabro. Two-man race team making up the Finish Line race team. Your head crew member is Jimmy Della Terza, along with Robin Della Terza, Brian Moran, Carolyn Moran, and Joe Gartista, all hailing from the New Jersey area. The Finish Line race team, they're the 1986 Northeast champion, runner-up, and they're the kilo record holder at 90.545 miles per hour in the B-class division. Finish Line race team, they've had some help here to get here today, and that help has been provided by Essex Locksmith, Gaccioni, radios by Motorola, Doliti Auto Parts, and Benzel Busch Mercedes. They would like to extend a special thanks to all their crew, friends, and sponsors for their support who have helped complete the Finish Line race team for this race and have really done a great job in preparing them for today's race as well as throughout the rest of the coming campaign. Finish Line race team is maintained at Kurtz Marine in New Jersey, and as you can see, the Finish Line race team has incorporated those sleek racing capsules for today's race. It is an ominous looking boat with a good looking team, and we wish them all the best. The Finish Line race team. As you can hear, Joe Calabro is doing an excellent job on the throttles for Finish Line Race Team. Joe Calabro of Finish Line. Now we come up on D19, the American Express race team. And on the far outside of him, you see Concrete Cat race team. But we're going to stay with the American Express. And there is a sailboat in the middle of the race course. This could be indicative of the fact that these boats might be off course, but we're not sure, because you have to ask yourself, what is that sailboat doing in the path of these race boats? But right now we're going to stay with D19, American Express. This is a 30-foot white Chris Cat powered by twin 650 horsepower inboard motors with Mercruiser drives. This boat is owned and throttled by Jimmy Kazani of Jamestown, Rhode Island, and your driver today is Lanny Dillinger, also from Jamestown, Rhode Island. The #1 crew chief is Carl Windsor from Jamestown for the American Express race team. This boat is meticulously maintained by Carl Windsor and Bob Votolato. Thanks to Bill DeBetti and his family and crew for all the support that they've lent the American Express race team. To correct that, that's Bill DeBetti and the entire family and crew for the support that has all gone into making the American Express race team a successful offshore race boat for the 1989 campaign. So with that, let's sit back and enjoy Jimmy Kazani and Lanny Dillinger of the American Express race team. There you get an up-close look at that cockpit and these guys working together. What a great shot. You've got Kazani on the throttles right there. Look at him work that right hand, working that throttle lever. And Dillinger is doing a great job driving. Dillinger and Kazani with a real up-close look right there in the American Express race cockpit. They're presently running first in their class right now. The American Express race team really soaring right there, coming out of the water, getting back on course. Tremendous racing right here, and American Express is rising to the challenge of the race conditions. Now we come back to Pipeline Express. We've given you what kind of boat it is and what the crew is all about, but they do have a good bit of racing history behind them. They're the 1985 APBA Northeast Champ And they're also the 1984 NPBA champs, as well as winning the New Jersey Governor's Cup. There you saw them really hit a big wave, come right back up on the stern of that boat, but right now they're back underway. Bob Shug and Rich Dancision really got this boat dialed in quite nicely, and Dave Koch, your navigator, has them on course. But here you can see them going through a rough leg of the race course as they round the checkpoint. A very important facet to the Pipeline Express is the dedication of their crew and their wives who have lent such great support to their husbands in the Pipeline Express race team. And the crew members would also like to extend a special thanks to the most courageous women in the world, and that is their wives, who have done a great job in lending support to the Pipeline Express race team. So with that dedication to the women of Pipeline Express and the crew of Bob Shug, Rich Dancision, and David Koch, we wish them all the best here today in Massachusetts. The Pipeline Express race team enjoying a very fine run at this point in the race. As Pipeline Express goes under the freeze-frame video helicopter, we now pick up Concrete Cat. Lou Beloisi, the freeze-frame video helicopter pilot, is doing an excellent job today. And now we pick up on P-15, the Concrete Cat race team. This all-red, sleek, 33-foot Hydrotech is powered by 3 Mercury outboard motors with a combined horsepower of 620 horsepower. This boat is owned and driven by Ray Bud Tresh of Mullica Hills, New Jersey. On throttles today, he's got Doug Lewis, and Mitch Brodkin is the navigator. The Concrete Cat race team has an illustrious race history behind them. They're the 1988 World Cup champions in the Northeast Division, and they're also the North American and New Jersey Governor's Cup champion. They'd like to extend a special thanks to Woodbury Cement Products and Ready Mix Concrete, who've done a great job in lending sponsorship and generosity in making the Concrete race team part of the success story that they are today. The team of Tresh, Lewis, and Brodkin are doing a great job, and Ray Bud Tresh is a very fierce competitor, and they do want to repeat their championship run from 1988. That was some stuff right there, potential hazardous stuff that has been averted. You saw them come way off that wave. They came far out of the water, but they were able to maintain the boat and come right back. You know Tresh wants to repeat and be a 2-time champion here in Massachusetts for this race. He will take on all comers, and you just saw a good example of the fierce competitive nature of the Concrete Cat race team. We wish them all the best as this race unfolds. So with that, let's just sit back and enjoy the Concrete Cat race team headed up by Ray Bud Tresh. Concrete Cat enjoying a very fine run here today. From a red Hydrotech, we now come up on an all-black Hydrotech. This is the Hydrotech Powerboat itself. This is a 32'6" all-black Hydrotech powered by three 2.4 Mercury outboard motors. This boat is driven by fast Eddie Jones of Union, New Jersey, and on throttles today you've got Greg Young from Brick, New Jersey. Greg Young is your driver of record for today's race. This boat is sponsored by the team Hydrotech. It is a factory boat with sponsorship put up by them, and the boat is maintained at Kurtz Marine in New Jersey. This is the same hull that the Hydrotech pleasure boats are also available in. They feature full interiors with heads and king-size berths, as well as a 12x8 cockpit. The Hydrotech race team does a fine job with race boats, as you see right here, and in Concrete Cat, who you saw earlier on, and in the field of pleasure boat racing also. So for pleasure boats or for racing, Hydrotech is the boat for you. Hydrotech power boats enjoying a very fine run right now. They're doing a great job, and let's just sit back and watch them do what they do best, racing. Now we come up on C46, the Bustin' Out race team. This is a 30-foot Chris Craft powered by twin 500 horsepower Pro Marine race motors with a 1,000 horsepower total. This boat is owned and driven by Joe Sangiovanni from Brick, New Jersey. On throttles, he's got Ralph Papke, and Ron Clune is the navigator. Your chief crew member is Jim Creel. This boat is rigged by Pro Marine and the motors by RC Motors. They've done a great job. The combination of Pro Marine and RC Motors have really come together to help make Bustin' Out the successful race team that they plan on being for the 1989 campaign. Joe Sangiovanni, who could forget his illustrious race career in the Little Rhino race boat. Sangiovanni having a great campaign behind him, and he's come out now with this new boat, Bustin' Out. This boat is sponsored by RC Motors, Pro Marine, and One Special Evening, who have done a great job in helping Joe Sangiovanni rebuild the former Little Rhino race team to come out in the Bustin' Out race team. Earlier on, you did see the Hydrotech race boat, and they are in the Pro Stock class, and they're dueling it out with Concrete Cat and Hydrotech right now in that division. Then in the Bustin' Out division, in Class C, you've got Pipeline, who you saw earlier on, Inferno unofficially in second, and Bustin' Out charging hard. He is in the lead group of boats in C class, and Sangiovanni really has his boat dialed in quite nicely. There you see some of the many spectators who have come out and lining this race course out here in Massachusetts today. Newburyport, what a beautiful place to hold a race, and later on we'll be getting to it, but this does mark the 200th anniversary of the creation of the U.S. Coast Guard, which was created in Newburyport, Massachusetts. As I said, we'll be telling you about it later on. But right now, let's just stay with Joe San Giovanni, Ralph Papke, Ron Clune in the Bustin' Out race team as they're charging very hard here in the Newburyport Grand Prix. Bustin' Out. Ralph Papke, as you just heard, is doing an excellent job on the throttles. Ralph Papke of Pro Marine does a great job in not only rigging this boat, but in rigging many other boats at Pro Marine, his yard. He does race boats as well as pleasure boats, and all the attention he puts into this race boat, he puts into all the pleasure boats. There you have a nice shot of Bustin' Out going under the helicopter, and now we're picking up the Lethal Weapon race team, D44. This red 41-foot Apache is powered by twin 750 horsepower Rogers Speed Shop motors, and this is a big boat. We expect him to do very well today. This is his kind of water, and with that 1,500 combined horsepower, we expect big things out of this boat today. Lethal Weapon. This boat is owned and driven by Lester Carrillo from Sparta, New Jersey, and on throttles, he's got Raul Gutierrez from Westfield, New Jersey, and Donald Purley, also from Westfield, is the navigator. The Lethal Weapon race team sounds very ominous at this point in the race, and they're looking very strong. Lethal Weapon, they'll be dueling all day with American Express, who you saw earlier on, and Boat Chopper is certainly a comer in this class. This is the first season for the Lethal Weapon Offshore race team with this new 41-foot Apache. They're coming off an impressive second-place finish in the 1989 season opener at Marathon, Florida. This boat has brand new power plants and rigging by Navtech Marine. So they had a very good race already this year with a very good second-place finish at Marathon. They have new rigging by Navtech. And with this boat and the power plants by Rogers Speed Shop, they feel that they've put together the combination that will ensure them a very successful 1989 offshore campaign, and we wish them nothing but the best. From Newburyport, Massachusetts, the Lethal Weapon race team. Lethal Weapon having a fine run. And on the far outside, it appears to be busting out. Right now, we come up on a very fierce competitor who's enjoyed many, many years of successful offshore powerboat racing. B1, the 28-foot familiar all-yellow manta known as Fever Race Team. This boat is owned and driven by Joe Scrow. On throttles, you've got Joe Latona. It's co-owned by Joe Scrow and Joe Latona, I should say. It is being driven by Joe Scrow. Joey Latona is on throttles, and Jeff Catrone is your navigator. Joe Russo is a big chief crew member. Richie Zool is the engine builder. James McElhatton is a key crew member. And Kevin, better known as the Hammer, is very responsible for helping out this boat also. There you get a close-up look of the stacks coming off those Richie Zool motors, but do they put out a lot of power? Just listen to Latona go on those throttles and the power that these motors put out. Fever Race Team looking very competitive right now. They're going to be dueling with Stoneham Boat Center and Alliance in their class. Fever Race Team, they're the former 88 World Championships as well as divisional champs for 88. Some people who have lent a helping hand to Fever Race Team, they'd like to extend a special thanks to Diamond Fabricators and S&S Propeller and Al Groves. RC, and of course everyone at Richie Zool's shop who's done a great job. And of course Freeze Frame has gotten involved now on the list of sponsors helping out the Fever Race Team. Joe Latona, Joe Scrow, and Jeff Catrone making up the Fever Race Team. Ominous race crew. They really charge hard. Look at them take these waves. They're coming out of the water, coming back in, not letting off a bit. Latona has those throttles down. Scrow knows how to drive this boat. And both these guys combined know exactly what the limitations of this boat are. B1, the Fever Race Team. Joe Latona and Joe Scrow, a Fever Race Team, enjoying a very fine run right there. From Fever Race Team, we come up on B43, the Alliance Race Team. This red 32-foot Hustler is powered by twin Bandit racing engines with 540 horsepower apiece. This boat is owned by Vince Guardino of Staten Island, New York. Driving today, he's got Gary Robin from Chadwick Beacon, New Jersey. Kurt Berger from Brick Township, New Jersey is on throttles. And your navigator is Tom Molis, also from Brick, New Jersey. Crew members of the Alliance Race Team consist of Steve Thomas, Ed Frownhouse and Lee Giumano, who've done a great job in working on the Alliance race team. This boat is rigged by Kurtz Marine, and today it is being run by Kurtz Marine to help Vince, who has a very busy work schedule right now, and Kurt has done a great job in helping out Vince and the entire Alliance race team. The Alliance race team looking very competitive right now in their class. They're presently running with Fever and Scrow and Fever race team, who you saw earlier on, and Stoneham Boat Center, who we have not seen yet, but is running very strong in the B-class division. The Hustler Race Hull, known as Alliance, having a very good run right here. Kurtz Marine, who's helping them out, also maintains some of your boats who are presently running on the circuit. Concrete Cat, Team Hydra, Finish Line, Shockwave, and Alliance right here are all members of the Kurtz Marine stable who've done a fine job in rigging and maintaining many of the race boats that we've just mentioned. But right now we're going to stay with the hard-charging Alliance race team and listening to one of the best throttlemen in the business, Kurt Berger himself on throttles, doing a great job for Vince Guardino's Alliance race team. The Alliance race team enjoying a very fine run at this point in the race, which is already through its halfway point. The Alliance race team. From the Alliance race team, we fade into B71, the Shockwave race team. This sleek and very attractive 30-foot Mirage is powered by twin 575 horsepower Bandit Racing motors, of course, from Kurtz Marine, the home of the Bandit Racing motors. And they sound very awesome right now. They're looking very good at this point in the race. This boat is owned and driven by Rich Tropoli from Toms River, New Jersey. He's got Scott Langbine, also from New Jersey, on throttles, and Tim Sharkey is your navigator, with Tony Sauta, your head crew member. This boat is sponsored by Tropoli Collision, and they have a good bit of race history behind them. They're the former 1987 NPBA B-Class champion, and they've also won in their class the Trump War Offshore. So they've done a fine job, and right now, Rich Tropoli is running very competitively in his class. He's dueling with Stoneham Boat Center, Fever, and Alliance, who you just saw earlier on. Langbine's doing a great job on the throttles, and these Kurtz Marine racing motors, the Bandit motor, are sounding very loud right now and extremely strong. So let's just sit back and enjoy Tropoli's Shockwave race team. Shockwave enjoying a very fine run right now. Now we come up on an A-class boat, A12, the MRD race team. This beautiful, sleek 27-foot Carrera is powered by twin 375 horsepower inboard Mercury motors. This boat is owned, driven, and throttled by Robert Cardinal, and he's got Frank Cardinal, his cousin, as the navigator. Robert would like to extend a special thanks to his cousin Frankie, who's done a great job in helping him out in preparing this MRD race boat. MRD Marine, high performance riggers on Long Island. There's nothing in the offshore powerboat business that MRD cannot handle. And they've done a great job in custom fabrication of all sorts of machine parts, boat parts, any high-tech thing that is needed for your boat. And they do it all at MRD Marine. Exclusive high-performance riggers on Long Island. And right now they put all that experience and technology into their own race boat, and they're enjoying a very fine run right now in A-Class. They're dueling with Deuces Are Wild and Snakebite in the A-Class of this race. Right now, let's take some time to just update some of the other classes while we stay with the MRD race team. As we said, Snakebite, MRD, and Deuces Are Wild are dueling in A-Class. Stone and Boats, Joe Latona's Fever and Alliance, who you saw earlier on, are dueling it out in B-Class. C-Class, Pipeline, Inferno, busting out, going head-to-head. Too early to call right now. American Express, Lethal Weapon, and Boat Chopper dueling in D-Class. Stock Class, you've got Insanity, JB Express, Sneaky Pete sneaking in there in third place in the Stock Class, all running very competitively. And in Pro Stock, Concrete Cat and Hydrotech, who we saw earlier on, are still dueling it out in this race. But right now we're going to stay with the Cardinals in MRD Race Boat, and we wish them all the best here today, the MRD Race Team. Well, it seems MRD, which stands for Marine Research Development, has certainly done its research and development right here, because they are looking very competitive. They certainly have this boat dialed in, and the Cardinals are all business right now as they're charging very hard in class. As this race progresses, we wish them all the best in their quest to overtake Snakebite. MRD. Now we come up on D31, the boat known as Boat Chopper. This 30-foot blue Shadow Cat is powered by three 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and throttled by Leo August. Your driver today is Doug Bean, and your navigator is Jason Bean. The Boat Chopper race team, a very strong crew right now. They'd like to extend a special thanks to Rapid Sign, because through their generosity they were able to attend this race. Doug and Jason Bean, the father-son team, took third nationally and a fourth in the World Championships in Key West, Florida. You will be seeing the Rapid Sign and Boat Chopper special at every race this year. Doug Bean, who is the owner of the Misty Harper Resort and Rapid Sign Incorporated, is donating a gift certificate to the first place finisher in each class here today. So the Beans, very generous, and their outlook in the sport of offshore powerboat racing, and it's certainly a pleasure to be able to be associated with people of the Beans magnitude. And of course, Leo August, the owner of the Boat Chopper boat, is also doing a fantastic job in teaming himself with the Beans. So the crew of Leo August, Doug and Jason Bean, making up the Boat Chopper race boat, and they're looking very strong right now. They're definitely in a hunt in their class. It's a tough class, D class, and you have American Express, Lethal Weapon, and Boat Chopper all in there dueling it out. So as this race is drawing towards the final stages, we wish Boat Chopper all the best in their hard charge to overtake Lethal Weapon and American Express. From Newburyport, Massachusetts, D31, the Boat Chopper race team. Now we come up on a familiar name, the Great Adventure Race Boat, B-54. This 31-foot Sutphen is powered by twin 370 horsepower Merc Cruiser inboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by a very familiar racer to us all, Bill Gazelle. And on throttles today, he's got Gary Artman, and Dave D'Ambrosia is the navigator from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Bill Gazelle hailing from Bricktown, New Jersey. The Great Adventure Race Team, what can we say? We remember some of his great national championships from 10 years ago. And after a 10-year hiatus away from the sport, he has come back and he is running very strong right now with the same name but a different boat, Great Adventure. Bill Gazelle would like to expend a special thanks to Arnold's Yacht Basing, Rick Jedro, Zip, Larry of Fun Boats, and the girls, Sue and Jennifer. He feels very attached to them, and all these people behind the scenes have done a great job for Great Adventure Race Team. And of course, Arnold's Yacht Basin, who has done a fine job in helping to sponsor this boat. Bill Gazelle, a former three-time national champion in the prime of his race career, has come back, and right now he seems to be a little off power. Could be some mechanical failures, but obviously with all the experience behind Bill Gazelle, he'll get it worked out, and if not in this race, you know he will be back for the rest of the 1989 campaign. And right now, according to our calculations, he is one of the few boats who are presently running on course the way it should be. We're not 100% sure, but some of the other boats, based on our coordinates, did seem to be running off course. We'll have to get some further updates on this as the race progresses, but Bill Gazelle and Great Adventures seem to be right on the money. And there you see some of the many spectators who are out here lining the race course to view some very exciting racing here in the Northeast. Bill Gazelle's Great Adventure. Gazelle would like to extend a special thanks to the following people. Dave Greaves, who is the normal throttle man and will race the rest of the season. Ron Barrett for one of the most fun races that Bill's been to in quite a while. Richie Sutphin of Sutphin Marine, who put the boat together, and they've all helped out to make Bill Gazelle and the Great Adventure the great race team that it is. Great Adventure Race Team. As the 1989 campaign unfolds, I'm sure Bill Gazelle hopes to return to the winning ways that catapulted him to 3 national championships many years ago. Bill Gazelle's Great Adventure Race Team. Now we come up on D71, the Air Ride Race Team. This gray and white 27-foot Cougar Cat is powered by twin Johnson 3.6 V8 outboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by Greg Sandinato of Hull, Massachusetts, with Alan Swyman as his throttle and navigator, also from Hull, Massachusetts. Your crew members are Greg Jr. and Peter DiPrio helping out. Some sponsorship has been provided by Nantucket Pier Marine, and they have quite a bit of illustrious race history behind them, the Air Ride Race Team. They're your 1987 former world champion, your Cobra 88 first place, High Point second for 88, and that is some very good credentials behind the Air Ride Race Team. They'd like to extend a special thanks to Peter Diorio and Greg Jr. for all their help in the Air Ride Race Team. The boat is up for sale and it is race ready. So anyone viewing this tape or who is out here for this exciting boat race can certainly get on board with a winning race boat and go out racing yourself. The Air Ride Race Team. Just contact Greg Sandinato from Hull, Massachusetts, and he will give you all the necessary information. Bustin' Out is coming by on the outside. Joe Sangiovanni of Bustin' Out going by on the outside, overtaking Greg Sandinato. Sandinato certainly has his work cut out for him in D-Class. He's dueling with American Express, Lethal Weapon, and Boat Chopper, who you saw earlier on. And right there we did see Bustin' Out, who is also in the thick of things. However, they are in different classes, Bustin' Out being in C and Air Ride being in D. Bustin' Out, who is charging hard, trying to overtake Inferno and Pipeline in his class. Joe Sangiovanni slightly ahead of Greg Sandinato of the Air Ride Race Team. The Air Ride Race Team enjoying a very fine run at this point in time. Jeff Girardi, head cameraman, going in for an up-close look of these V8 Johnson motors. And just listen to the power that these motors are putting out. Freeze frame video getting up close for a real personal look of what these boats are all about. We get in tight where the action is because that's what you want to see. And right now we're with Air Ride Race Team and listening to those Johnson V8 motors put out a lot of power. D71, the Air Ride Race Team. Now we come up on C32, the Crazy Cat Race Team. This is a 24-foot skater powered by twin 2.4 Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and throttled by Brian Dobzak, and your driver today is George Peterson. Who could forget George Peterson, the famous freeze frame East Coast rider? And he's been around for many, many years, and Peterson has teamed up with Dobzak now, forming the Crazy Cat Race Team. This boat is rigged and maintained at East Coast Marine in New York, and Freeze Frame has helped out with some sponsorship on the Crazy Cat Race Team. George Peterson and Brian Dobzak are a tremendous racing crew right now. And right now they've aligned themselves, and there goes Air Ride on the inside. Crazy Cat going right by the Air Ride Race Team. However, they are in different classes, so it's not really a problem there. One is a C boat, one is a D boat. Crazy Cat Race Team, presently in C, is chasing Joe San Giovanni's Bustin' Out, who you saw earlier on going by the Air Ride Race Team. But back to Crazy Cat. Peterson and Dobzak pulling their resources, forming the Crazy Cat Alliance, and they are definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with here in the Northeast region of the APBA sanctioned races. So let's just sit back, watch two great racers do their thing as they round this checkpoint. The Crazy Cat Race Team, owned and headed up by Brian Dobzak, driving George Peterson. Crazy Cat Race Team enjoying a very good run. One of the many favorites that Freeze Frame enjoys to cover. Considering we have rough conditions, this boat is handling it quite nicely. They seem to be enjoying a very good run right here. Now we come up on S23, the Insanity Race Team. They're presently running in first place, holding off JB Express and Sneaky Pete. Insanity, it's a 24-foot skater powered by twin 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and throttled by Chuck New of Staten Island, New York, and Jason New is your driver today. Pro Marine, this boat is being sponsored by Pro Marine Racing, who has helped out the Insanity Race Team. Insanity Race Team, they took in 1988, they took a third in the Northeast Division and a third in the North American scene. They'd like to extend a special thanks to Pro Marine for doing such a fine job in rigging the boat and maintaining it for the past 2 years. What can we say? As the race is drawing to a close, Insanity is holding off the hard-charging JB Express and Sneaky Pete in the stock class. So if things remain the same and they do not have any mechanical failures, which appears to be unlikely at this point, being that the boat is running so strong, they could be taking the checkered flag in their class. Those engine covers seem to be slightly loose, but we certainly hope this does not present a problem for the Insanity race team. So we wish Chuck and Jason New all the best as this race is drawing to its final stages. The Insanity race team. From Insanity, we now pick up S14, the Sneaky Pete race team. This 24-foot skater is powered by twin 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Steve Lotito, and Peter Graves is your throttle man. Lotito and Graves making up the Sneaky Pete race team. As we mentioned earlier on in today's telecast, these are a local entry. They're from around here, and they're definitely one of the local town favorites, and everyone is pulling for Graves and Lotito in the Sneaky Pete race team. They're presently in third place behind JB's Express and the News, who you just saw earlier on in the Insanity race team. There you get an up-close look of those motors. The 200 horsepower Mercury outboards doing the job here today for a Sneaky Pete race team. Well, at the present time, we've already gotten word that some of the boats have already finished and are in the winner's circle already. We're going to be staying with Sneaky Pete as he heads towards the start-finish flag, where we'll be computing the final results and bringing them to you for the Newburyport Grand Prix 1989. The Newburyport Grand Prix for 1989 is officially in the record books, and here are the official results. In Class A, first place taken by Snakebite, followed by MRD in second place, and Deuces Are Wild in third place. In Class B, Stoneham Boat Center taking first place, as well as first overall in today's race. And there you see them with their checkered flag, first in B class as well as first overall. Great performance by Stoneham Boat Center today. In second place in B, Joe Latona and Joe Scrow's Fever and Alliance taking third place. In C class, we've done a great job in putting this race together and for inviting us to one of the best races that we have had the privilege of covering in the 1989 campaign.